company meeting, I sold my soul to make a record. They said we'd be artistically free when we signed that bit of paper. They say they're gonna give me lots of money if I play what they want you to hear. I'll make my music boring, I'll play my music slow. They take your money, break your soul. They say it's only rock and roll. Industry rule number 4080. Record company people are shady. Cause all you people are vampires. You suck my blood like a leech. Is your conscience alright? Does it plague you at night? Pay us like you owe us for all the years that you hold us. I don't make music for free. I make music for freedom. Corporate forces running this rap shit. And all those labels be trying to lure us in like spiders into the web. You know what I'm saying? We'll show them how it's supposed to be. We're gonna fight against the flashy appeal. We're gonna kill the 7-record deal. I guess for America, I am a disaster. A slave that was destined to own his own masters.
All craziness is gone.
They are doing that here in the United States. So American scientific companies are crossbreeding humans and animals and coming up with mice with fully functioning human brains. So they're already into this experimentation.
That there are people who are unethical, who will do this kind of stuff for whatever reason.
Just because you got some money stashed up in the bank doesn't give you the right to put a human in the tank. And think the labs making this crazy technology. Is it really revolutionary or just psychology? It's probably just a way to make the rich richer, or chop up a clone if they lose one of their fingers. A great discovery for the athletes, stars, and the singers. Not for us, just for people like Oprah and Jerry Springer. That start by slicing cells and splitting strands of DNA, growing bodies and limbs like it's a human buffet. Then they plant it, examine it, cross their fingers and wish had to grow a human from microscopic things in a dish. And this just seems unnatural to me and Scott. If I don't need a clone, does it sit there and rot? Or does the poor soul stay floating in the pot? Forgot, cause the toe cloning is good, but it's not. Imagínate, eres clon esperando pa siempre.
Bob, miss me with them conscious lyrics. You sound just like the 1%ers. You must have did a bunch of acid. Either that or you just fucking with us. You wanna be a star, sell out concert tickets, a mansion in a Hollywood subdivision. You get the fame on the one condition: you get copied at the cloning center. They kill them with a comment in it. Overdose from a drug addiction. Same story, same headline. A stroke, a heart attack, an aneurysm.
So look, the cloning shit is not what you think it is. It's not as simple as, well, why would somebody want to clone that nigga? What that nigga got? If you understand how the physical world is a reflection of the spiritual world, and you start fucking with the DNA and shit, you understand that you're tapping into some other shit. You're like ripping a portal open on some shit. The movie Boys of Brazil, even the movie Congress, she agrees to give them her image. They like scan her or some shit, and then she goes into this digital world. So everything is connected, and they need the influential people to maintain the mind control and how they program your subconscious mind to respond to things. And they need these influential leaders to trigger your mind control, to trigger your trauma, basically trigger your trance.
Nothing more than a puppet to the puppet masters which placed him in the White House. Bill Clinton's demeanor seems to be similar to a person who is under a hypnotic trance.
If you go to Disney World, for instance, down there in the Haunted Mansion, you see the hologram, right? Oh, you know how to make a hologram. Well, our scientists have learned how to make people. They call them synthetics. Are you familiar with those?
Well, actually, we just interviewed John Lear, and he was talking about being in an audience in which they were given a lecture by a guy that they thought was real and found out later he was a hologram.
Well, it's a synthetic. A synthetics, when you touch their skin, it feels like plastic almost. That's the latest technique. The old techniques, if you guys can rent a video, The Boys from Brazil, rent it, because in it, it gives you the exact way how our government's been making people.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
and
come
the
on.
Soviets have a different method called...
I mean, making people meaning temporary people?
No, walking, talking.
When I found out about this cloning stuff, I find it very frightening.
Help's coming, guys, don't worry.
These are the emergency calls made moments after Kevin Hart's vintage muscle car careened off an LA road.
He looks like he's hurting.
The caller describing the chaotic scene early Sunday morning.
Sounds like the passenger's stuck in the car. The driver is out of the car, but he looks a little hurt. I think the top of the car is crushed.
But today there is new confusion about who was behind the wheel.
How many people are stuck inside, do you know?
I think it's just one lady now. The driver is out right now. They're trying to get the passenger out.
The bystander saying he saw the driver get out of the car, but the initial report says Hart's friend, Jared Black, was in the driver's seat and trapped in the vehicle when emergency crews arrived. Police say Black's fiancée, fitness trainer Rebecca Brocksterman, was also unable to get out of the car. In the newly released calls, an unidentified male voice can also be heard speaking in the background.
I didn't know the hospital was working.
But police did not say any of the passengers were taken to the hospital on their own, indicating only Hart left the scene to his nearby residence to get medical attention. The initial police report also saying alcohol was not a factor in the crash. At 2:15 a.m., a woman identifying herself as Hart's wife called 911 from their home.
He was in a car accident earlier tonight, or what happened?
Yes, earlier tonight. I don't know what happened. He's not coherent at all.
Did he get treatment originally from when he was injured? Did he go to the hospital, or?
No treatment at all. We're just here, and he can't move.
Is there any obvious broken bones that you can tell? You see anything broken?
Just something on his back is pulling out on his spine.
Hart is expected to make a full recovery after undergoing back surgery, but 4 days after the accident, police sources familiar with the matter tell NBC News the investigation remains ongoing after a late-night ride involving one of Hollywood's biggest stars.
In the wake of Kevin Hart's terrifying car crash back in September of 2019, TMZ reports that no one in the car that night has filed a lawsuit or been sued. On September 1st, Hart was a passenger in his 1970 Plymouth Barracuda when the driver of the car, Hart's friend and producer Jared Black, lost control and crashed through some wooden fencing. It was just before 1 a.m. in Malibu, California. The blue Barracuda crashed about 10 feet off the road and into a ditch, leaving both men with major back injuries and landing Hart in the operating room for spinal surgery. He recently opened up about the aftermath of that crash in an interview with Men's Health, explaining that his recovery process has led him to do better and prioritize his family even more, which his wife, Aniko Parrish, is happy about. She tells Men's Health, quote, "There were times where he was here, but not really here. Not to say he wasn't a family man before, but he's expressed that the accident made him make up for some of the time missed because of work." Meanwhile, Hart went on to add, "I'm not trying to get back to where I was before. I want to do better than before. It's a resurrection. That's the best way for me to put it. I feel like the other version of myself died in that moment, and this new version was born to understand and to do better. It's a resurrection. That's the best way for me to put it. I feel like the other version of myself died in that moment, and this new version was born to understand and to do better. It's a resurrection. That's the best way for me to put it. I feel like the other version of myself died in that moment, and this new version was born to understand and to do better."
He's everywhere else, and now he's on SportsCenter. Kevin Hart, star of the new film Central Intelligence, joining us now. How do you do it? I look on Twitter, there you are. Facebook, there you are. Television, there you are. How do you do it?
I have a clone.
I was going to say that. There's two of you.
Cat's out the bag, okay? It's about a good 3 of me. We broke it. They didn't want to release it yet. This is major news that I'm giving you.
All right.
I'm the first person to ever use it. I'm cloned.
Okay, I appreciate it.
That's why I'm able to do all that I do.
All right.
Conversation about clones right now. Is that what we're doing right now?
You ever met a clone?
This is a.
Have I met a clone? Yeah, I think I met some clones before.
See?
Really?
So there's clones amongst us.
Wiz Khalifa's clone, ladies and gentlemen. The new single is out right now. So make sure you get it. You can get it on iTunes.
Yeah, get Khalifa.
Stream it and all that other stuff.
Get Rude Awakening. Man, get Gucci cologne.
No, not the Gucci cologne, Gucci clone.
It's the first ever 100% digital human. So I didn't see any of that. It was 8 months before I saw the scenes, and when I saw me and my new digital clone, it was spectacular. It was actually a little freaky. One of the things that I came to is my younger self was, because he was naive, he was wildly aggressive.
I think we're gonna make part 2. I think you have to. I think you have to. They kill you if you try to walk away, and they clone you. I think you have to. I think you have to. They kill you if you try to walk away, and they clone you.
They look like us, talk like us, even seem to think like us, and yet they are not. Human clones, complete biological duplicates. Could they soon be living among us? According to some researchers, they already are. Multiple whistleblowers have testified that human cloning was developed by highly classified black-budget military projects.
Since '38, we've been making clone people.
Could some of your favorite entertainers have been secretly replaced with clones? What about politicians or world leaders? Welcome to a brave new world of human cloning.
He was the hottest comedian in the country. Then he mysteriously disappeared. Why Dave Chappelle walked away from $50 million. Nobody knew where you were going. Now that sounds a little crazy. The widely reported rumors. People were saying you were on drugs, you went into a mental institution. What was going on? His first television interview. And the big question, will Dave go back to his show?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is what I want to do.
Be careful. You're on national television. I'm glad you're here. Everybody wants to know, why'd you walk away from $50 million?
David didn't trust Oprah Winfrey, and he was glad that the show was over with. And David told me that when he left Oprah Winfrey, he had to keep looking over his shoulder because he didn't trust Oprah. And well, nobody that, any of us, we know that Oprah is one of the queen bees, dark bees of the Illuminati. And so, I wouldn't trust her. And so, but David felt that it was over. Okay, now, David went home, and things began to happen to David. Leading up to the course of time for him to go back into the executive office. Well, I should say, but that's right. Things began, because now, I'm not going to pinpoint the exact time and the exact date, but David was receiving threatening letters. He received a package in the mail. It was Bill Cosby. It was who was another one? It was Bill Cosby. It was even Al. That's why I don't like Al Sharpton today. It was Bill Cosby, Al Sharpton. It was Whoopi Goldberg, and it was a few others that was into putting the pressure on David to stop this thing with the black race. Now that was before, and it was even afterwards. But they were putting the pressure on him, and so eventually down the line, David was doing his comedy in the local comedy clubs, but then he got a phone call again, and he said he called me and told me, he said, "Cuz," now what he said to his brother, I don't know. But I do know, because David wouldn't, when David talked to his brother, he wouldn't tell his brother conversation that him and I had. And because David's brother and him, they were family, but they wasn't like David and I were. And David would, when he called and talked to me, he wouldn't tell me things that he told his brother. And but David called me again, and he said, "Cuz, they called me again." I said, "Who called you again?" He said, "The executives." And he said, they want to talk to me one more time. And they're thinking about the possibility of me doing the Chappelle show and doing it the way that I want to do it. I want to be, he said, because the only reason why I told them when I talked to him the last time, that the only way I would do the Chappelle Show again would be if I did it my way. And it would be set up on my terms. And so I received a phone call, and they want to talk to me about him. Well, my antennas went up. I said, David, now you be careful now, I said, because they could be saying that. He said, no, I really think they're serious this time, cuz. He said, because I made it definite with them that the only way that he said, I told it on Oprah Winfrey show too, that the only way that I would do the Chappelle Show again, it would have to be on my terms, my way, and that you know, and the money that I make, even if it wasn't $50 million, it would have to go to the people, and but it had to be on my terms. So I said, okay, David. I said, well, do you trust him? David said, yeah. David said, well, I think I can trust him this time. So I said, well, David, whatever the situation is, please give me a call. He said, you know that's right, cuz. And so David left. We hung up. I should say we hung up. I have not heard from David. Not even today. I have not heard from David. Now, what I think is this. That Neil Brennan is a question mark, 100%. A question mark. I believe that David went there, and they discussed once again about the $50 million, and I believe Neil Brennan was somewhere in that office. I believe he was somewhere in that office, and then they told. I'm believing that they told David that they wanted him to see something, just like they did Bernie Mac. Oh yes, indeed, they took Bernie. Let me stop on David for a few minutes. But they showed Bernie Mac the cloning lab, and they showed Bernie Mac the cloning lab, and he went down and he saw how people were being cloned. And when Bernie Mac came back and told Steve Harvey and D.L. Hughley and a few others, and you know, that he saw the cloning lab, and that something had to be done to stop that foolishness of what they were doing. Well, Steve Harvey and D.L. Hughley went back and told the top brass of the Illuminati, the dark circle, in a dark circle, and what they did, they killed him. Okay, so now let's go back to David Chappelle. I'm truly believing that they told David they had something they wanted him to see. And they took David to the underground cloning lab. And when they took David down there, and I think that I'm believing that before they took David down there, they promised David that they would go along with his deal, with David's deal, to get him to sign the contract. And I'm believing that David, you know, thinking that he would get back on the Chappelle Show, working with Comedy Central, that everything was going to be all right. And I'm believing that David signed that contract thinking that. And when he signed that contract, they wanted David to go and look at something else. It could have been maybe telling him that maybe it was a new studio or something of some kind or what have you. But they got David, after signing the contract, you can say in blood, and David thinking that he's just signing the contract because things were going to work his way. And then once he signed the contract, they took him someplace else, and the place that they took him to was to the underground lab. And when they got him down there, they cloned David. And when they clone a person, and I want you to do your research, it's not like cloning is not like when a woman gets pregnant and they either eject her or, you know, for her to have a clone or the baby girl, however that goes. It's not like that. Cloning today only takes a couple, maybe to several hours to be cloned. Well, this is what I strongly believe they did to David. They took him to this underground lab. And what they did is just smiling in his face and just going along with David so that David would not yield up or fight or this sort of thing. And they cloned him. And once they cloned David Chappelle, then they killed David Chappelle. Okay, and once they killed David Chappelle, that was it. Now they could do anything. It only takes a few hours to do this. And once they did this, then they had full control of this new Dave Chappelle.
We've been 1938. They've been making clone people. There's 8 countries making clones. I have a doctor friend that all it does is treat the clones.
Where do you get your information?
I get it from some of the people that are willing to come forth, and they talk to me because they hope I'll put the information out, because they always got 2 people following them and they may be killed. If I start talking about cloning too much, the people that get involved into that disappear on it. So I don't go into too many more details, but there is information that's available. If you guys can rent a video, the boys from Brazil, rent it, because in it gives you the exact way how our government's been making people.
Really?
Yeah, different method.
I mean, making people meaning temporary people?
No, walking, talking ones.
Meaning through genetics? You're not talking about that?
Well, let me tell you. The movie shows it, but I'll share it with you right now.
All right.
All I need to do is take 2 cells off of your body, yours.
Uh-huh.
We give them a small electrical charge. I'm just I'll act like a fertilized egg. If I got a fertilized egg, all I need is a receiver in order to make it. So they were hypnotizing women, said they were being invaded by aliens. And the fetus starts growing, right? Needs food, where they can use cows and sheep too. It's, again, a food source. That's all we need. After about 14 weeks, all of a sudden that fetus is gone, because they've learned to take, that's when the fetus starts developing its own blood supply. Then they've used a pituitary hormone extract that they have, which accelerates the being that grows.
It's just a straightforward procedure. This is not something real complicated. They've been cloning all kinds of mammals. Don't you think that they have the ability to clone people? Technically, to clone a person is no more complicated than it is to clone a cow or a pig. There's a few little differences in the steps, the procedures, but as far as complications, it's just as easy. And I'm going to suggest to you that the Illuminati not only have the motive to clone, but they have the means. And if they have the motive and means, what's that mean? It means that they're doing it.
Since then, human cell cloning has helped the study of diseases like Parkinson's, but cloning humans would simply be unfair.
Clone of a major baseball player, you'd expect that child to be a baseball player. He might not want. He might want to play soccer.
You're clones. You're copies of people out here in the world.
What?
Clones?
What?
Copies? What are you talking about? Some hag trophy wife needs new skin for a facelift, or one of them gets sick and they need a new heart. They take it from you.
But why celebrities? There are many reasons why an entertainer might be a top choice to be cloned. Entertainers are themselves valuable commodities, earning mega millions for their record companies and studios. However, if they decide they want to quit, or something tragic happens to one of them, studios stand to lose considerable investment. Replacement clones are easier to control and manipulate, attracting less attention than an outright assassination, and allowing the owners to regain control and continue earning money. The Illuminati are said to have cloned many celebrities.
You ever met a clone? This is one
Have I
of
met a
most
clone?
intense
Yeah, I
combos.
think I met some clones before.
See?
Really?
So there's clones amongst us.
The rapper Gucci Mane was sent to prison for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. But it was his return less than 3 years later that sparked controversy among fans. Not only had the rapper lost a considerable amount of weight, but his speech and mannerisms seemed to have changed as well.
He told me, yeah, we gotta get you in. Too gangster. Keep the scrap.
Get what the nigga Blue said, man. That's why I fought him to the day. Yeah, I just had to sit down about you. Yeah, we ain't gonna let you in. Yeah, I be robbing too much. But we fuck with you.
What do you want for lunch for today?
Just fruit, veggies, and water.
That's
light.
it?
Very light. Okay. I wanted to go light but excessive.
Oh.
Clean but opulent.
Some even speculate that people from the past are being cloned and brought to life again as leading actors or musicians. Such theories point to the uncanny resemblance some stars show to figures from the past. Talent can be hard to come by. Imagine a world where legendary musicians or artists could be brought back to life. What would a modern-day Mozart create? Obsessed collectors will pay ungodly amounts for memorabilia owned by their favorite stars. But the ultra-wealthy could have the real thing brought back to life for their amusement. The elite have fiendish desires. If, for instance, one fantasized about a particular starlet, they could have a clone of them made as a sex slave. Politicians could be using clones as doubles for speaking events, etc. Having body doubles and lookalikes has long been common for world leaders. Also, if a genuine candidate was elected president and didn't acquiesce to the shadow government's control, he or she could be replaced with a clone under MK Ultra mind control.
He went, he became president. I didn't go, and I'm still vice president.
And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are